Hello, we are from Group 3 and today we'll be addressing the important debate on financial disclosure mandates. Throughout this presentation, my fellow teammates and I will delve into the multifaceted aspect of this debate. We will cover the potential negative consequences when regulators mandate too little financial disclosure and the possible drawbacks of imposing too much disclosure on companies. Additionally, we will explore the preferences of corporate managers and stock market investors regarding mandatory disclosure, shedding light on their respective perspective. In our quest for transparency and corporate governance, we will also investigate alternative ways to enhance corporate transparency beyond compulsory disclosure. By doing so, we aim to present a comprehensive assessment of the debate, offering insight that could shape future policy decisions and corporate practices. Without further ado, let's delve into the first issue. My name is Farah and I'll be discussing the potential negative consequences when regulators mandate too little of it. Let's start by understanding what financial disclosure is. Financial disclosure refers to the process of providing information about a company's financial health, operations, and performance to investors and stakeholders. This information is crucial for making informed decisions in the financial markets. So, what happens if the company discloses too little information? Firstly, it will create a veil of uncertainty around companies' financial health and operations. Imagine being an investor trying to make informed decisions without access to accurate and comprehensive information. It becomes a challenge to assess the true financial position and potential risks associated with an organization or investment. Investors and stakeholders rely on transparency to gain insight into key financial details and potential risks. Without sufficient disclosure, such vital information remains obscure, leaving them in the dark and can lead to market inefficiencies. Investors may find themselves grappling with incomplete information, making it challenging to make well-informed choices. Besides, limited accountability within a company can create an environment where fraudulent reporting becomes more likely. When there is inadequate financial disclosure and transparency, it hampers the ability of stakeholders and investors to effectively oversee and monitor management's action. This lack of oversight and scrutiny can provide dishonest individuals, such as CFO or other executives, with the opportunity to manipulate financial data and engage in fraudulent reporting. With limited accountability, there may be fewer checks and balances in place to detect and prevent unethical behavior. The absence of robust financial disclosure requirements can make it easier for dishonest individuals to hide their actions and misrepresent the company's financial performance. Furthermore, a substantial information asymmetry will arise between the company insiders and external investors. This information asymmetry occurs when some investors possess private information about a firm's value, while others have access only to publicly available information, creating an uneven playing field in the market. As a result, an adverse selection problem emerges where privately informed investors can trade on their superior knowledge, potentially leading to market distortion. The research study conducted by Haley, Hutton and Pelepu 1999 consistently demonstrate a negative association between the quality of a company's disclosure and measure of information asymmetry. Specifically, they used the probability of informed trade, PIN, as an empirical proxy for information asymmetry, which is based on the imbalance between buy and sell orders among investors. The PIN measure provides a deeper understanding of how disclosure quality affects information asymmetry. Notably, higher disclosure quality reduces the likelihood of investors discovering and trading on private information, which in turn mitigates non-productive search activities and ultimately benefits shareholders by reducing search costs. However, the study also reveals a surprising positive association between information asymmetry and the quality of quarterly report disclosures.
Hi, I'm Megat Rizwan. Today, I'm going to delve into a topic that's a hotbed of debate, which is the potential negative consequences of imposing overly strict financial disclosure regulations. We certainly recognize the advantage and critical role of financial disclosure in preserving corporate transparency. However, when the balance tips towards over-disclosure, there could be some pitfalls that we need to discuss. Let's start with the administrative burdens of rigorous disclosure mandates. These stringent requirements could significantly impact companies, especially small to medium-sized businesses. The necessary commitment in terms of finances and time to gather, validate, and report the vast array of data can be burdensome. Such resources might be more productively utilized on essential business operations. Moreover, for SMEs that may lack the infrastructure or resources to comply with these rigorous mandates promptly, there's the risk of delayed disclosures. These delays can unintentionally create market distortions by providing outdated information, leading to poorly informed decisions by stakeholders, defeating the very purpose of fostering transparency and timely information dissemination, creating volatility and uncertainty. Next, let's talk about the potential informational contradiction caused by an abundance of information. In theory, more data should provide a more comprehensive snapshot of a company's financial standing. However, when stakeholders are inundated with a flood of information, it could become overwhelmingly difficult to separate the truly impactful data from the noise. This could lead to crucial information being overlooked, causing confusion among stakeholders and potentially driving suboptimal decision-making. Some studies and experts suggest that the continuous increase in financial disclosures can lead to information overload, which may negatively impact the decision-making process of financial statement users. If the amount of information crosses a certain threshold, the quality of decision-making might actually decrease. The study proposes to investigate whether new accounting regulations and standards which often result in more extensive disclosure contribute to information overload. The authors create an index to measure the extent of regulation-induced disclosures and analyze its impact on financial statement users' forecast properties. The study finds an inverted U pattern relationship. As regulation-induced disclosures increase, the decision quality of analysts initially increases. However, above a certain level of disclosures, increases in disclosures are associated with the decrease in the decision quality of analysts. This indicates that excessive regulation-induced disclosures could indeed lead to information overload and decrease the accuracy of decision-making. Overall, the findings suggest that increases in regulation-induced disclosures above a certain level are associated with information overload. Another major issue that develops in a highly competitive business climate is the potential for excessive disclosure to unintentionally weaken a company's competitive edge. If companies are required to disclose sensitive strategy information about their operations, future plans, or proprietary knowledge, this could give competitors an unfair advantage. To study the impact of the new regulations, Zoe collected written evidence from companies that lobbied against the changes, citing a competitive disadvantage. She tracked and studied 138 of those firms, examining their performance both 2 years prior to the initial proposal and 2 years after the accounting change was implemented. She found that among those companies that objected to the new accounting standards, operating performance declined for firms that changed their segment reporting, but not for those that continued to report the same segments. She tested her results by comparing a separate control group whose performance stayed on par. Exploiting such disclosed information could lead to potential business losses, undermining shareholder value and market confidence in the disclosing company.
I'm Jodi Rubin, and I'll be discussing the preference of corporate managers when it comes to mandatory financial disclosure. Corporate managers are people who oversee a company's general operations, including finance, marketing, and manufacturing, and helps to design and implement business strategies. Thus, financial disclosure and decisions come into play in their job description. Their role in the financial statement process is to review all statements to help better understand the organization's performance and evaluate areas of risk. When it comes to corporate managers, it is impossible to generalize the view of all managers. However, understanding both sides can provide valuable insight into their overall preference in mandatory disclosure. For those managers who prefer more mandatory financial disclosure, they argue that transparency and extensive disclosure should be prioritized, as they are essential elements in maintaining trust and attracting new investors. The biggest factors argued for this are investors' relation, access to capital, reputation, and market credibility. The corporate managers of financial companies are constantly seeking to find the best ways to attract and retain investors, as well as new methods to secure capital. Thus, mandatory disclosure of companies' finances can provide current or future investors with a comprehensive understanding of the business's market position, performance, and levels of growth. This would allow for an increase in investors' confidence and satisfaction within the company, as there is a higher level of assurance in the investment decisions. Additionally, mandatory disclosure can enhance a company's reputation, as these companies can be viewed as being open, accessible, and acting in good faith. This would result in an increase in market credibility and potentially improved access to capital, as stakeholders and shareholders value transparency. Finally, managers argue that mandatory disclosure serves as a precaution against fraudulent activities and unethical practices, as companies are held accountable for their financial affairs. The importance of transparency and mandatory disclosure can be highlighted through the Enron scandal in 2001. Enron, a large company in the energy sector, collapsed due to accounting fraud and financial misstatement. The business used accounting techniques to hide debt and increase its financial performance. While Enron was subject to mandatory financial disclosure requirements, the truth was revealed, and the shareholders lost billions of dollars as the stock price plummeted and the company had to close. Whilst there are many cases like this in the world, managers still have expressed their reservations about mandatory disclosure. They believe factors like competitiveness, confidential concerns, and compliance cost have greater effects on their business. Through disclosure, companies would be required to publicize sensitive information and data, possibly revealing the business's strategies and secrets. This ultimately could lead to a competitive disadvantage, as their competitors could be tempted to misuse their sensitive information and has the potential to harm their market position. Additionally, many managers, especially those from small-medium enterprises, have expressed large concerns due to their limited resources, as mandatory disclosure can generate high implementation costs, as managers must spend more time producing these statements and making sure they align with Australia's strict financial standards. Thus, strengthening demand on disclosure could even result in some firms withdrawing their stock market listing to exempt themselves from disclosure obligations. In conclusion, whilst the preference of mandatory disclosure for corporate managers are influenced by an array of factors, as some managers prioritize transparency and reputation, whilst others are concerned about their competitors and potential financial losses, for many the pros outweigh the cons. Managers nowadays value the ability to grow and please its share and stakeholders rather than any potential negative consequences.
Good day everyone, I'm Syahir and I will be discussing whether stock market investors prefer more mandatory disclosure or not. Financial disclosure is the sharing of financial information by a company that allows stakeholders to make the right decisions about the entity's financial health and performance based on all the information about a company down to facts, figures, data, procedures, new products, technological innovation, senior leadership changes, and everything that is material for a company and relevant to all the stakeholders. Regulators and practitioners, including stock market investors, have debated the right level of financial disclosure for many years. Nowadays, some advocate for expanded disclosures to promote transparency, while others argue it. Let's start with the positive effects if we stand to disclose the financial. On the positive side, financial disclosure encourages decision making that is well informed and transparent. Investors argue that additional information allows them to assess risk more accurately. Information exchange additionally establish an equal playing field between shareholders and management, fostering a competitive market. Besides, increased disclosure leads to improved investor confidence and trust. It is the responsibility of individuals involved in financial reporting to understand how important integrity is. Businesses progressively need to enhance their financial reporting in order to fulfill investor demands and boost public confidence in our rapidly evolving world. Furthermore, financial disclosure facilitates third-party entities to comprehend the organization. The first tool used to communicate business information is financial analysis conducted by independent analysts. With comprehensive data and their fingertips, analysts can more accurately analyze a company's operations and financial statements, leading to better estimations. However, like every coin, this too has a flip side. The first concern is cost. While some investors encourage disclosure, they are aware of the possibility of greater expenses for businesses. Smaller entities may struggle to comply with strict disclosure regulations due to limited resources. Larger organizations might find it difficult to integrate information across many departments, which will increase compliance costs and ultimately affect profitability and returns. Further, there is the issue of privacy and competitive advantage. Investors are concerned that greater transparency may reveal confidential information, which could be exploited by competitors, particularly for businesses that have considerable competitive disadvantages. Striking the right balance between disclosing information and keeping it confidential becomes a delicate dance.
Hello, I am Muhamad Khairunnas and I will continue our discussion focusing on alternative ways to enhance corporate transparency beyond the usual mandatory disclosure. So, before we proceed even further, we need to know what corporate transparency is. It refers to the extent of which a company openly and accurately discloses information about its activities, performance, and practices to its stakeholders. Transparency involves in providing clear, accessible, and reliable information that enables stakeholders to understand and evaluate a company as a whole. Without further ado, let's jump into the first alternative, which is voluntary disclosure. Voluntary disclosure refers to the information provided by companies that goes beyond the mandatory requirement. One notable initiative that has been implemented would be the Stakeholder Metric Initiative, which aims to design a new framework enabling the production of comparable data sets across companies, irrespective of their background. This initiative focuses on financial disclosure, specifically centered on four main areas, which are people, planet, prosperity, and principle of governance. It encompasses crucial metrics such as greenhouse gas emission and pay equality. More than 130 companies, including Nestle, Unilever, and Zurich, have thrown their support behind this new metric. The implementation of voluntary disclosure initiatives serves two primary purposes, which are to accurately report a company's environmental and social impact, as well as to establish a fresh approach towards biodiversity conservation. By embracing this, companies can provide stakeholders with a more comprehensive view of their operation and work towards a business landscape that values sustainability and transparency. Next, stakeholder engagement. It is a process of actively involving and communicating with individuals or groups who have an interest in the corporate entity. It entails engaging with stakeholders to learn their viewpoints and preferences in order to leverage this valuable information to improve business operation. There are various ways to engage with them, such as conducting town halls for employees and staff, collecting feedback, and or holding frequent meetings with shareholders. Through this interaction, companies can provide information, address concerns, resolve issues, and solicit opinions to enhance their business activities. The implementation of this initiative serves two key purposes, which are to build a strong commitment to stakeholders by fostering business practice based on integrity and transparency, as well as to enrich the decision-making process by incorporating a wider range of perspectives and insight. By actively engaging with stakeholders, companies can stimulate trust, gain valuable insight, and ensure that their actions align with the expectations and interests of those they serve. Lastly, external assurance. This refers to the process of obtaining verification and acknowledgement of a company's disclosure from external parties. This can be achieved through external audits or third-party verification. By engaging external auditors and sustainability rating agencies, companies can enhance credibility and assurance of their claims and performance, thereby increasing stakeholders' confidence. External assurance plays a vital role in improving transparency and accountability. Implementing external assurance initiatives serves two main reasons, which are to meet stakeholders' expectations for transparency as they seek reliable and trustworthy information, and to provide companies with a competitive advantage by demonstrating a higher level of reliability and transparency compared to the others. By undergoing this, companies can bolster their reputation, build trust with stakeholders, and ensure that their disclosures are accurate and reliable, contributing to a more transparent and responsible business environment.
In conclusion, finding the right balance in financial disclosure regulation is crucial. While appropriate disclosure enhances transparency, protects stakeholders, and improves decision making, excessive mandates can impose burdensome costs, privacy risks, and competitive disadvantages. To address these concerns, alternative approaches such as voluntary disclosure initiative, stakeholder engagement, and external assurance can complement mandatory disclosures, promoting transparency and accountability while considering the specific circumstances of companies. Striking the right balance between mandatory and voluntary disclosures, along with stakeholders' involvement, can foster a business environment that values sustainability, integrity, and trust.